The Russians continue their work to whitewash their reputation. On the political level, Putin gives an interview to anti-vaxxer Tucker Carlson. In contrast, on the esports level, they buy Western companies either directly with government money or through Russian bookmakers, thus legalizing their blood money. Today, we will tell you how Russian money has almost completely taken over esports. Let's go. Let's start with Dota, because February got the combo with Russian influence on the pro scene of the game. 3 of this month's tournaments are somehow connected to Russia. Let's start with BetBoom Bacha Dubai, which compared to the debut tournament BB Dacha 2023 has increased both its scope and scale. If the first Dacha was a cheap copy of Dota Summit, with this informal tournament atmosphere and a small prize pool, $250,000, then the February Dacha became an ultra-pompous luxury tournament in Dubai with a prize pool of $1 million. For reference, ESL One Birmingham has such a prize pool. And of course, our beloved casters like Effie and Jenkins are ready to turn a blind eye to some not so pleasant aspects of the tournament for a double or triple fee. BetBoom can be called the vultures of esports in general. When Russia did a full-scale invasion in Ukraine in 2022, the main esports bookmakers in Eastern Europe, GG.bet and Paramatch, left the Russian market. BetBoom took everything that was lying around. First, they made a team with the literal name of the BetBoom team. After a bad experience with Dahak, they assembled their Russian Galacticos at the end of 2022. This team included the main former VP players and TI Toronto Tokyo. In 2 years, the super expensive squad managed to gain a foothold in the Tier 1 scene, but never won a Tier 1 trophy. In 2022, BB also formed a pocket broadcast studio, Fissure, which by 2023 actually became a monopolist in its market, buying the rights to broadcast the tournament in Russian with overpricing, as it was at the Arlington Major. In 2023, Fissure also covered the International 2023 in Russian. BetBoom didn't stop there. They also bought all the top Russian Dota streamers, including Nyx, the top 1 Dota community caster in the world. BetBoom is not the only one. Another Russian bookmaker, Winline, works for the Russian audience. Winline is the title sponsor of perhaps the most notorious Russian esports club, which is trying by all means to fence itself off from the past and become Armenian, but it is not very successful. Who else does Winline sponsor? Gaiman Gladiators, a club whose main media star is the Russian The Ratio, and which has flirted with the Russian audience more than once. The second top 1 tag sponsored by Winline is Tundra, which is a British club, but owned by the son of former Tatneft Russian top manager Maxim Demin, who is better known to the general public as the former owner of Bournemouth Football Club. So his son, Maxim Demin Jr., also has his own toy, not a football club, but an esports club. If you think that we are done with the Russian bookmakers who threw their money at Western companies, we have not yet talked about the main player in esports in this regard, 1xBet. In March 2021, ESL Gaming announced 1xBet, one of the world's leading betting companies, as ESL's first exclusive global betting partner. This means that all tournaments of the Dream League and ESL One Series, the main tournaments in Dota, as they will give points for the Saudi Arabia Esports World Cup with a large prize pool, are sponsored by a Russian bookmaker with a dubious reputation. Previously, 1x was known for its advertising and pirated translations of movies and TV series, when now it is one of the main bookmakers in esports. There are a lot of teams in Dota sponsored by 1xBet. South America, as many as 3 tags, Beast Coast, Boom Sports, and Heroic. Eastern Europe, Spirit. Asia, Talon, and Aurora, which 1x owns. Why Aurora and not, for example, 1x Team? Because back in the times, there were rumors that Valve did not like the big influence of bookmakers on their esports, so they were encrypted with their pocket teams. Now, they don't do this, and every Russian bookmaker has their own team. OneWin, Dota 2, and CS2. Parai, CS2, Liga Stavok, Dota 2. So let's move on to the most disgusting tournament in Dota history, Games of the Future. The Russians, like the Saudis, are trying to engage in whitewashing through such esports events. At first, they made a substantial prize pool, $1 million, and then started sending invites to various Western teams to legitimize their scam. Most European tags refused to accept the invite. We learned about this from Heroic player Davai Lama, whose team refused to participate in the games of the future because of Russia's invasion in Ukraine. When the first participants of the tournament were shown, among them was the American org Nouns, whose top management includes the champion of TI5, PPD. The media coverage on Twitter helped to make it clear to Nouns that it was not a good idea to play in a tournament where Putin would be present, and so they withdrew from the tournament. The other invited teams included Entity and PSG Quest, for which Ukrainians Noone and Kaori play. The Ukrainians will most likely miss the tournament, but from a moral point of view, will they be okay with playing with their teammates after such a flurry? There are also rumors shared by Ghostic. He said that he was able to reach out to Nigma and Miracle, and they will withdraw from the tournament. How do we know that the tournament is a project of the Russian authorities? In fact, there is a lot of circumstantial evidence here. Curation from the chief of staff of the UnArmy, the Russian Hitler Youth, outdoor advertising with typical propaganda slogans, and most importantly, Gostosluggy advertising this tournament. This service is 100% connected to the Russian state, as it is owned by the Russian Ministry of Digital Transformation and Rostelecom. If you are wondering why all the top clubs from China are going to this tournament, the answer is quite simple. It's all thanks to an agreement between the governments of Russia and China, and we would like to remind you that China is still ruled by communism, although not the same as in the USSR. So if the party says you must, the Chinese people say yes.
And before we continue, we'd like to remind you that you can support our channel financially. You can do this via PayPal. All the details can be found in the description below this video.
Let's move on to CS, because if you thought that Dota players are stupid and let the Russians do their dirty deeds, you are very much mistaken. Players counted the number of S, A, and B tier tournaments where the Russian bookmaker 1xBet is one of the sponsors. Thus, in 2023, this company sponsored 7 S-level tournaments and 13 AB tier tournaments. For comparison, in 2022, 1xBet sponsored 6 S-level and 9 AB tier tournaments. If we look at who is the main sponsor of the top 30 teams in the world as of early December 2023, 10 of 30 teams are sponsored by Russian bookmakers, i.e. 1/3. BetBoom, like Dota, has strengthened its position in the CS market in recent years. In addition to their own team, they managed to become the title sponsor of 4 A and B tier tournaments in 2023. In early December, the BetBoom Dacha 2023 tournament started, in which such teams as Astralis, Gamer Legion, Furia, and MIBR and others took part. According to the Redditors, the tournament was one of the worst in 2023. We would like to talk about Heroic separately. In early December 2023, journalist Corentin Fallip, who previously worked for L'Equipe, VLR-GG, and Dexerto, released an investigation that revealed that the new management of the esports organization Heroic has ties to the Russian betting company 1xBet. Heroic claims that the organization is now owned by the Norwegian company Krobidco AS, a limited liability company owned by an EU investment fund. The club changed ownership in early summer 2023. According to Fallip, Krobidco AS appointed a number of people to the club's board, including Michalis Noklius, Memnia Papadopoula, and Ludmila Merotskina. According to their LinkedIn, the trio works for the Cypriot company DC Sportsoft. They all appear in the company Nine Pandas, founded by Sergei Karshakov, and according to many resources, he is a co-founder of 1xBet. And what about the games of the future in CS? As the recent story with RCL 2024 Advanced League shown, the management of European clubs still has their heads on their shoulders, and therefore no top club from Europe will go to this tournament, even though there is a declared prize pool of $500,000. Among the less familiar tags, there will be Zero Tenacity, Serbians who have long been suspected of match fixing, and the Chinese from Rare Atom. That's all for today. Do you think that Russians have increased their influence in esports in recent years? Write your opinion about it in the comments. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Good game.